DPRK. Good to be back. Send you greetings, bring you greetings from all our comrades there. They hold the party in very high regard in the DPRK. Our trip has a history to it. It has a consistency to it. We have been developing a relationship with the Democratic People's Republic of Korea for almost 50 years. Not quite. But I think we started going in 1968. Is that right? It was 70, okay. Well, anyway, we've been there quite a few times. It was my first visit. It was me, Deirdre, and Elena. And we were there to celebrate with people around the world the 60th anniversary of the signing of the armistice, which ended hostilities but not the war, which is still the very big issue in so many ways. But our comrades in the DPRK, of course, consider the fact that they forced not only U.S. imperialism, but all of its, junior imperialist partners at that time, which were far superior in terms of their military and economic capability, to cease hostilities and sign at least a temporary armistice. They consider it to be a tremendous victory. There's so much that we could review in that. We were in this beautiful city, the capital of the DPRK, Pyongyang, which was completely destroyed. And oh my goodness, if you could see it now, maybe I'll say a word about that. Maybe Deirdre will say a little bit more about that later. What was the trip like? We were there for a full 7 days, I think. We had a few political meetings with leading members of the Korean Workers' Party. Usually in those meetings were other representatives from other delegations, whether from Chile or from Mexico or some other delegations, not delegations from governments, but delegations from left parties. But that wasn't the main kind of activity. It wasn't meetings. It was to participate in parades, ceremonies, the opening of museums, many performances. Some of those performances that some of you are aware of, where the children are doing all sorts of incredible, unimaginable, blow your mind stuff. We even went to a circus at one point. Recitals. High point for me was walking on the Pueblo. But I won't go into that, but that was nice. You saw all the confessions of the spies, that they extracted. Our purpose fundamentally was simple. Outside of just personally enjoying it, was an opportunity at an important occasion, at an important time for the DPRK to reaffirm our, unwavering solidarity with them. And we were not the only ones from the U.S. There was a small delegation from the Socialist Workers' Party, and whatever else we might think about their views, it's good, that they are at least supporting the DPRK in whatever manner they do that. Ramsey Clark was there. We're very close to Ramsey Clark. We work very much with Ramsey Clark. No other parties or organizations, as far as we know, were there representing anybody in the U.S. beside us, the SWP and Ramsey Clark. There were a few other people who were part of Ramsey Clark's sort of entourage or what have you, but they weren't representing, and there are people who were associated with ANSA, and also Marv Hayden Hilliard, who some of you may recall, very prominent progressive attorney associated with ANSA, but they weren't representing ANSA. I mean, this is a double-edged sword. Actually, and this doesn't reflect on us. We sent a good delegation. We wish we could have sent more people, but we sent a good delegation. For something like this, there should have been really a huge delegation from the United States, from the peace movement, from the trade unions, from the oppressed community, It should have been hundreds of people on this 60th anniversary of the war. If things were really right, the way they should be, thinking along a revolutionary line, you know, especially, I think, military veterans. And although we're mostly familiar with GIs being radicalized by the Vietnam War and by the wars in the Middle East, Iraq, so forth, Afghanistan, there were GIs who were radicalized, you know, by the Korean War. You know, one of them actually was there. I can't remember his name, but maybe Deirdre, you know, if she's got his name, will remember. You know, was actually there. You know, a veteran of the Korean War. That would have been so tremendous, and I think we should think in terms of that. You know, we don't waste time worrying about what could not be, but it's about thinking ahead and what should be the next time, given, you know, necessary circumstances and conditions to do that. Of course, the DPRK comrades, among many other goals, what they wanted to do with this, and this was very clear, and boy, what an impression they made. Not only give all their guests a good time and take them to a series of events where they would just be going ooh and ah and wow and, you know, give me more, but also to show how united they are, to show that they have a, you know, unwavering level of solidarity at this time when they are under pressure from imperialism, to show their how strong they are, how resolved they are to defend themselves, and their capability to resist U.S. imperialist aggression. And I can say this was my first time going to the DPRK, but, you know, they make a big impression. You know, whatever their weaknesses may be, you know, Pyongyang is, of course, where they put a lot of resources into. Not every place in the DPRK looks quite like Pyongyang. But that military parade, which was, you know, the feature on July 27th, wow. You know, and we weren't the only ones looking at it. And the thousands of guests, there probably was a satellite up there, you know, from the Pentagon looking at it. And the message was, you know, don't mess with us. You know, you know, we don't want it. We want peace. We want a peace treaty. We want to be able to develop in peace. We want unity. But if you think you're going to push us around, it's not going to go down that way. You know, Deirdre and Alina were walking outside our hotel, very nice hotel where they put us up. And they ran into a delegation from a bourgeois country. Was it India? India, right. A government delegation. And seeing that Deirdre and Alina was from the West and probably would be sympathetic to their bullshit, you know, pardon my language, you know, propaganda and ideas, they said something like, I'm paraphrasing, you know, all the militarism, isn't it? It's just so off-putting this. So, and, you know, Deirdre can tell you what they said exactly, but this conversation would come up and would say, of course they're going to be very military and show how strong they are, you know. In so many ways, they are alone with the exception of the People's Republic of China, a complex story, we'll talk a little bit about that, and the support that they have around the world, which is not enough in and of itself, you know, to be a factor as of yet. So, of course, when imperialism is threatening to bomb them into oblivion, to starve them, of course they're going to be tough and show how disciplined they are. And, you know, people need to understand that. And they need to get beyond the propaganda, you know, and all the demonization and dehumanization. It would be such a great thing if more people from this country and from all around the world could actually visit the DPRK and talk to the people. And that be a weapon against the demonization. I wish that we could play a role in that. Maybe we can. I know Comrade Elena was thinking about that the moment she got there, and even more intensely the moment she left. How can we get more young people here? Because they have a lot of questions. Where are they getting their information from? You know, and when I say that the comrades there wanted to impress upon everybody their resolve and their strength, of course, you think in terms of the military, and that's very important, but not just that. The level of society, the cultural level, what they put into making sure that everybody is healthy, what they put into making sure that everybody is fed, that the children have schools, that every generation is taken care of, whether in Pyongyang or outside the city. It's just incredible. Pyongyang is probably, it's got to be the most beautiful city on the planet. And it's not a small city. It's a sprawling city with a skyline that is immaculate, majestic, and never ending. And it's got parks for children and facilities for retired and elderly people and almost anything you want. You just walk around Pyongyang and you think of the propaganda. It's terrible there. It's a slave state. This and that lie. You know. And you look and you say, "Wow! Imagine if people could see this. Imagine if you could live there." It's not a small city. Close to 3 million people, 2.5 plus. That's about as big as Chicago. It's a big city. 10% of the population lives there. I couldn't help thinking as I saw the city each day we went to a different event. Imagine if our comrades did not have to put so much into defending themselves against U.S. and Western imperialism, and Japan, and South Korea, the puppet government anyway. Now, the way they've done it in the DPRK is the best way you can do it, because they've incorporated the military with the people. They're not two separate entities. You know, they have a slogan, military first, but that also means that the military goes and is involved in farming and involved in construction and is not only defending the country against outside aggression, but also helping to build and see to the everyday needs of the country. What if they could put all of their resources into just trying to build socialism? What they could do based on what they've already done? It's unimaginable. I think almost every day that I went to one of it must have been 30 events that we went to over a course of about 7 days. At one point or another, I would think, wow, what if they did not have to just struggle in the imperialist, warlike, hostile, isolate, starve you environment that they have to grow in, that they have to live in? What if there was a stronger movement, a stronger communist movement with strong parties and a mobilized working class, especially at the imperialist centers? You know, comrades, we have to think about this, because a lot of times I think we go to the DPRK or we go to Cuba or maybe a few other countries and we look at them with a very critical eye. Well, why haven't they done that? Well, that doesn't look right. But we forget, if we knew, that if you really want to go on the basis of revolutionary Marxism, his view was one country, it shouldn't be on the backs of one country, a relatively small country, not a tiny country, but a relatively small country, to fully build socialism and communism by itself. The fact of the matter is, Marx would have considered that unscientific and impossible. I was looking recently at one of Sam Marcy's early documents. before the party was developed a few years later. This was at the beginning of the Korean War. And to a large extent, the document was based on the significance, the worldwide significance of the Korean War, which he felt the movement, even those who claimed to be revolutionaries, were not recognizing and appreciating. The title of that document was The Destiny, at least part of it, was The Destiny of the American Working Class. And what he went on to do in a very effective way was lay out the argument against those who think that the struggle of the U.S. workers is a separate struggle from the workers around the world. And that the struggle of the people of Korea against imperialism and colonialism is not deeply connected and intertwined with the struggle of the working class here for higher wages and for unions. Or for that matter, the struggle of the working class anywhere on the planet, on any of the continents. This is one of the reasons why our name is not just the Socialist Party or the Communist Party. It's Workers' World Party. The founding comrades named it Workers' World Party because they wanted to make a point about having to think about the whole world proletariat and the whole world capitalist system and the global class war, and not just what particular fight we were involved in. And I thought to myself, wow, our comrades in the DPRK, to a large extent, they appreciate the support that they have. They love the party. As soon as we got there, they put us in the cars to take us to the hotel, and some young comrade in the Korean Workers' Party began telling me all about Workers' World Party. He had done his homework. His job was to impress me, and he succeeded. Imagine if there was such a movement, a stronger movement. It would take at least some of the burden off of the shoulders of the people, the party, and the country of the DPRK. And until that situation changes, they're forced to do with what they have. And they will go on. They will persevere. There's no doubt about that. They are tough and strong. But we must never forget that bigger point, because the truth of the matter is, comrades, in a way, the leaders of the working class movements and the working class movements themselves, especially in the imperialist centers today, with this global crisis of capitalism, they've been let off the hook in terms of their responsibility to the people of Korea, the people of Africa, the people of the Middle East, the people everywhere. They've been let off the hook. We have to be part of the solution by not only demonstrating our solidarity through statements and propaganda and events, and there's a lot that we have done, and there's a lot more that we can do. Deirdre and I were talking a little bit while we were there. We might have mentioned it to some of the comrades there. At the right time, maybe not tomorrow, but at the right time, it might be a good thing to do for the DPRK what we did for Cuba about 20 years ago, and have something along the lines of a Peace for Korea event, whether it's inside a hall like the Javits Center or outside, because they need it. And just building it would be a tremendous political and propagandistic struggle that's so necessary, But anyway, sorry for going on too long. I love the DPRK. I can't wait to go back. And if it's possible, maybe even retire there. Long live the DPRK.